So, 2025, and yeah, I don't know. I've got a strangely good feeling about this year for a variety of reasons. Personally, I've got a good feeling about it, but boxing wise, last year, 2024, it wasn't perfect, but it was very, very good. We had so much good stuff. I would say if we had more domestic shows in Britain, it would have been even better. And I think we'll get that this year. I've got a really, really good feeling about boxing in 2025. It's the only thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, is I suspect that this year we really will see, and this is not a bad thing. This is in some ways a very, very good thing, but it's sad in a way because I think that this year we are going to see the new generation of heavyweights really kick on. We're really going to see them kick on and establish themselves. We're going to see Dubois establish himself. He already is a world champion. We're going to see the likes of a Telma, I think maybe potentially establish himself amongst others. We're going to see a lot of these new guys, a lot of new kids on the blocks really, get a stranglehold in the heavyweight division. But at the same time, I think we're coming to the end of, if not all, of the old guard, we'll say. And I mean like the kind of like the Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. I think maybe all of them will be gone, or at the very least, a sizable majority will be gone by the end of this year, as in retired. And that is sad because it seems like only yesterday that and it's people. Do you know what the craziest thing is? The end of November this year, I still can't believe this. Uh, It's actually scary to think about. The end of November this year, 2025, it will have been 10 years since Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko in Dusseldorf. People, that is actually scary. That it's been just over 9 years, and this year, by the end of November, it'll have been a decade. It doesn't even like remotely feel like a decade. It's insanity to think that time has gone by that quick, and it's insanity to think that what we looked at as the new kids on the blocks, the Tyson Furies, Deontay Wilders, Anthony Joshua's, we're now looking at the kind of end, so to speak. I mean, it might not necessarily be this year for all of them, but if it's not this year, it'll definitely be next year. And that's a strange. It's strange. It just feels weird. Time's gone by so quick. But when I look at someone like a Tyson Fury, and I look at how he performed, especially in the Alexander Usyk rematch, which it's a fight in which there's no ifs or buts. There's no disputing it. 8-4 is a perfectly fair scorecard. I've seen people with scorecards that are 9-3, and honestly, I can't even argue with that in favour of Alexander Usyk. Although Tyson Fury showed in that Usyk rematch that he still has enough left in the tank to cut it at the top level anyway. Is he in his prime? No. Is he at his best? No. But does he still have it in him to cut it at the top level? And I believe he does. I believe that in the Alexander Usyk rematch, although he lost it, quite clearly, he was nowhere near as hurt as he was in the first fight. He shifted a lot of punishment, but he didn't shift as much damage and shots, excuse me, as he did first time around. A lot of body shots. And in terms of adjustments he made, from the first fight to the second fight, he did quite well. Excuse me. So when I look at Fury and I look at what he can bring to the table in 2025, I still think there's a lot there for him. And one of the kind of good things about him losing this fight is that it means now that he's got no title. That lineal status that he was trying to run with before he became WBC champion, that's wiped. That's gone now. He is now as effectively just another contender, which is a good thing because I think that Tyson Fury, he's already had one redemption story in his career. Going from the heights of the throne of Vladimir Klitschko in Dusseldorf, Germany, to having his hiatus of nearly 3 years, nearest makes no difference, 2.5, 3 years, to coming back, and within 2 years, because he came back in June 2018, by February 2020 he was world champion again, legit world champion, WBC champion, not lineal, legit, won the world title. And at that point, as I've talked about in several videos, the popularity of Tyson Fury just went through the roof. It gained massively following on from the draw with Deontay Wilder. I mean, imagine not even victory, just to gain that popularity, and people said that was the redemption story complete. And then he put the cherry on the cake dethroning Deontay Wilder in America. I think that was in Vegas. I think now it's his chance to do it one more time. I mean, I seen an article from the Mirror, and because when I was looking at boxing stories, I was just looking at Alexander Tyson Fury, and I was like, wait, what? They were actually saying Tyson Fury's retirement statement, and I was like, oh my god, did I miss this? No, they were referring to past retirement statements. Well done, Mail, you really got me in there. But reading the article, they were saying that people close to Fury's, it looks like he'll be coming back. So that's okay. So if he's coming back, it won't be against Alexander Usyk. What are we looking at? What are we going to effectively try and see with Tyson Fury? He won't be able to do those crossover fights, you would imagine, because the appeal of having a world champion go up against the Francis Ngannou or John Jones, that's gone. That ain't gonna happen. Nate Aspinall, Tom Aspinall, both have the last name very similar. I'm watching a lot of darts lately, but you'll be able to do that. Thank God for that as well, by the way. Tyson Fury is going to effectively have to try and fight his contemporaries, and I think if Alexander Usyk retires, which I think he should do, it essentially means then that, well, there's belts there that are fragmented, and if you get a win over a contender, you could be in a position to challenge for a vacant title. And I think that for Tyson Fury, given the fact that his reputation, and I've seen it with a few people in the comment section who say they live in kind of northern England, which will be Fury country to a T, and more people were celebrating Usyk beating Fury than Fury winning himself. That kind of shows the reputation he has, certainly with the British public nowadays, that it's really bad. Even in, quote unquote Fury country, which you would imagine the north kind of west, the northwest is where kind of Morecambe, Lancashire, all that, Blackpool would be, which you would think is Fury country. And they're even looking at Alexander Usyk like, yeah, you're the guy. So for Fury, if he was to go in there, and even to go in there against someone like an Anthony Joshua, and for me, I think that's the fight to make for Tyson Fury right now, because I think Tyson Fury, although he lost twice to Alexander Usyk, and especially in the first fight, he took a beating in that fight, it didn't hamper him to the extent that I thought it would do. Because in the rematch, although he lost it, and he lost it quite clearly, he didn't look like he'd lost, it didn't look like he diminished significantly. Or anything like that. He took some shots from Usyk, nowhere near as clean as he did in the first fight, but saying that, he took them seemingly A-okay. He looked to have, he looked okay in there, Tyson Fury. He wasn't good enough to beat Alexander Usyk, but he looked okay. And he's always been a very, very good fighter. Now, with Anthony Joshua, I mean, as I said, I think his confidence is going to be at an all-time low. With Joshua, it's not as straightforward as just go back in and it's all's forgotten. He needs to be built up, rehabilitated again, but he's too long in the tooth to do a proper rehabilitation job. So at this minute in time, if they made Fury versus Joshua, which again I think makes the most sense for Tyson Fury financially, and the winner of that fight, excuse me, frog in the throat. The winner of that fight, whether you like it or not, they'd probably get a particularly high ranking with probably the WBC, but certainly maybe two of the sanctioning bodies. They would look very favourably on that and give them a nice little high rank. They'd give them a boost up the rankings. So for me, that makes a lot of sense for Fury financially and from the rankings point of view. And right now, if they made that fight for May of this year, I would make Tyson Fury an overwhelming, resounding favourite. I would make him a massive favourite against Anthony Joshua at this point. Because Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk, who in my opinion is a more formidable fighter than Daniel Dubois, might not be the puncher, Fury still in 24 rounds didn't take near as much damage as Anthony Joshua did in 5 rounds against Daniel Dubois. It's just the Joshua fans say, oh yeah, but Fury, he got hit, he got rocked. Yeah, he did, but he was still at times competitive, and he had his moments in there. When he did have his moments, he had them against Alexander Usyk. Joshua had 10 seconds, and then he ended up face planting the canvas. Joshua coming back from a beating like that, it's going to take some serious coming back from, and to go straight back in with Fury, even with a rehabilitation fight in the interim, if that happens, I still don't see it helping him. So for Fury to take that fight, I think I would make him an overwhelming favourite to beat Anthony Joshua. If for whatever reason that fight doesn't happen, let's say Anthony Joshua decides he wants to face Daniel Dubois instead for whatever reason, instead of fighting Tyson Fury, I'm trying to work out why he wouldn't want to face Fury, but let's just say hypothetically he faces Dubois instead. Where does that leave Tyson Fury? Well, I think that there are fights out there for Fury that you could make if Zhilei Zhang defeats, for argument's sakes, Ajay Kabayel. Well, Fury against Zhang would be an interesting fight. It's an in-house fight with Queensbury, and Fury wouldn't. And Fury's not stupid. He's not a stupid man by no stretch of the imagination. He'd know very carefully against Zhang for the first 5 rounds. Southpaw like I did against Dusek. Left hand, absolutely flipping glued to your head, especially against Zhang. And as the fight progresses, you should come back into it. I would probably lean towards Fury against Zhang, truth be told. So you'd have a fight maybe there. You could look at some. I could definitely see Fury. I'd probably pick him over some of the guys in the top 10. And that could be because with Fury, the depth of his resume, you've got a win against Vladimir Klitschko, an age of Vladimir Klitschko, but fair enough, you went into the Lions then and you did it. 3 wins over Deontay Wilder, and they age like milk. 3 wins over Chisora. Each win got worse and worse in terms of Chisora was more shot after each win. And a win over Dylan White, who by then he'd already been chinned by a 40-year-old Povetkin. So, they're his best wins. If he can go and get some wins over some of the guys now, and I wouldn't even class Anthony Joshua as a particularly good win at this point because he's already been chinned a bunch of times, or twice anyway, and been schooled by Usyk twice. So if he can go in there against some of his contemporaries, his contenders, and pick up a win or two against them, or maybe pick up a title, 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, there you go. I think that redemption story could be there for Tyson Fury in 2025, go to 2026 if he wants it. The problem is, and I've said this before about Tyson Fury, he's such a talent. It's been so frustrating seeing him the last couple of years that I still think he's got enough left in the tank. But I think you'd have an easier time going and doing what I just said maybe 2 to 3 years ago. If he'd have fought Usyk, say 2-3 years ago, I still think he would have lost. I think that he'll always have a tough time against Alexander Usyk. I know some people would say, it was a fresher Fury. It's a fresher Usyk too. So there you go, we'll counteract that. And you'd probably have a better chance to do what I just said and probably come out the other end. I still think Fury could potentially do it now, but he'd have an easier time a couple of years ago. But I think that could be his redemption story for 2025 because he needs to. Whatever Frank Warren will say and whatever his fanboys who are, they're living on, Planet T for Tyson Fury. They're in a whole nother world because they just, Fury didn't lose either fight. It's all this, that, yeah, keep talking. But in reality, Fury, especially to the British public, he has a lot to try and make up with them. He has to redeem himself. He absolutely does. Especially, the comments he made after both fights, in particular the first fight. For me, if he went and became the fighter he said he was, or always said he would be, any man, any time, any place, if he did that this year, then that will go a long way to redeeming it. I also think that if he went in there and really did a demolition job on Anthony Joshua, I think a lot of the fans would... A lot of fans of both Fury and Joshua, certainly when they were in their heyday, were glory seekers. So I think that if they're still sticking around, they'll just flock to whoever's winning. And I think it'll be Fury. They just flock to him. But that's what I think for Tyson Fury in 2025. Let me know what your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And people, until next time, I will leave it there. Peace.